we're Overbook Besties. Welcome back. I'm Alana.
And I'm Sin. Today we are covering the first 22 chapters of Heir of Fire and some in the city drama. I'm super excited to get through this book. It wasn't one of my favorites when I originally read it. How did you feel about this one?
I don't know. I think when I originally read it, I actually really liked this book, mostly because of the dynamics between Rowan and Selena. But interestingly, reading it for the second time, I'm more interested in the dynamics with Manon and trying to pick up some of the subtler parts of her story.
My gosh. Okay, I'm going to have to go back and double check. That's the pronunciation for Manon because I always read it as Manon. I never even Googled it.
Oh no.
Manon.
Now I don't know. I'm second guessing myself.
You know what? We're going to go through the pod and see who's right. And usually it's you, so probably still will be.
This could be your chance.
I don't think I'm getting any chances in pronunciation, that's for sure. I actually wanted to start by playing a game with you.
Ooh, fun.
So I'm going to name a character that's new to this book, and I want you to tell me if they're a ride or die or jury's still out. Okay? Rowan.
Ride or die.
Okay, but you can pick ride, die, or jury's out.
Oh, I thought it was ride or die. Ride.
Okay, cool.
Is that what you want me to say?
Well, I mean, that's not what I would say, but yeah, that's the answer I'm looking for. Adion.
Ooh. Original read, jury still out. Reread, ride.
Okay. Manon or Manon.
Original read, die. Reread, ride.
Okay. Maeve.
Die. All the time.
Sorsha.
Oh. I don't trust her. She's in my I don't trust category.
You're not even giving her a chance to stand trial. She's just sentenced away.
Yeah.
Well, that would be die, Alana.
No, she can still live. She's helping people. She's in a helping profession. She can still hang out. I just don't trust her.
Okay, I love your reasoning. The 13.
Ooh, ride.
Okay. The Blackbeak grandmother.
Die.
And Emrys and Luca.
Aw, ride.
Okay, yay. We had a lot of new characters in this particular starting, and we're only 22 chapters in.
So many new characters.
Yeah.
It was a lot to keep up with, and so many storylines all at the same time. 3 different storylines. It almost felt like 3 mini books as you're reading.
I will say I appreciate that because we've had multiple points of view from the very first book. It doesn't feel overwhelming now. And because we've built such great connections to Dorian and Kaol already in the first 2 books, hearing their perspective in this book is really important and fun. That being said, I also find Selena/Aylin's storyline right now just isn't my vibe. So I'm really holding on to hope for Kaol's storyline, Manon's storyline, and Dorian's storyline to keep me going through this book.
I was so curious about that because I know in our first read, we were very opposite in that side of things in terms of which storyline we preferred. And I was so curious to know if your perspective changed on the reread or if you're still no.
Well, I would say for me, Rowan was a die, Adion die, Manon ride for sure. Because she's a witch, and I just love witches. Maeve, I was a ride for. Just her essence and her aura of explaining her family lineage, how powerful she is, how terrified Selena is of her. I've kind of not really been excited about the king being a villain, and coming off the tail end of having all this really great stuff with Arabin and him being such a dynamic villain in the previous story, it's cool now to have a badass be a point of fear for her. So I'm excited about her. Sorsha, die. I mean, she can live to help people.
See? Same thing.
Yeah. When you explain it like that, yes. I would say Blackbeard grandmother and 13 are both ride. Again, witches. So exciting. Emrys and Luca, ride. They're so lovely. But yeah, same as the original read. I'm okay, Selena, are you okay now? Have you learned to turn? Let's keep moving.
Okay, I have to share something embarrassing on the reread that came to light. I had a bit of an aha moment. So when I first read this whole story, I didn't really realize that Selena was serious when she said that her secondary being is a human and that's her changing, like how Rowan is changing to an eagle or something like that. And originally I read it as like she's just fearful of changing into Fae. And the reason she's human is because magic was wiped away, so she got turned into a human. Don't ask me where this storyline came from.
Okay, but fair. So rational thought process.
Right. And then this time reading it, there was like a line about being human is my animal, just like any other mammal. And I was like, oh, this makes way more sense now why they're all forcing her to change. Because it's not just because she's in a magical realm.
Okay, I want to validate you in your feelings because I had the same moment in my mind. And it's crazy because I remember even getting to the part where she sees him as the bird, or she's like, oh, I wonder what his other form is. And then she sees eagles. She's, oh, it's obviously that. And then she second guesses like other animals that are around. I was like, oh, it's really weird that she doesn't turn into an animal. It's crazy. Why hasn't she
Thank
picked one?
you.
So I read the same line as you, and it was, oh, second animal human, kind of boring. I think her being a human was nice and made sense to the story.
Now that we understood it.
And if she was an animal, she has to be one that's so cool that goes with assassin. Or just, she
Mm.
could have been like a deer or like a stag. That would have been cool, right?
I definitely thought in the original read that she was going to be a stag, but I do think for her storyline of not being able to control her magic and kind of like just having it control her, it makes sense that her being's a human because she wouldn't have been able to control the shift otherwise.
Yeah, she had two options. You can be Fae, where you're not allowed to be Fae, or an animal. Options were good on that one. You said you liked Rowan, and you actually just said that you enjoyed on the reread and the original read, loving the relationship she's building with Rowan. How did you feel about him punching her in the face?
I mean, I'm not condoning violence, let me be clear. Shout out to everyone who said she's a brat. Like, hello, he's this angry man and he sees what she's capable of and is like, he has a temperament too. We can't all be perfect. I'm not justifying his actions. I want to make that really clear.
Also, whenever we're talking about a story, it's about a story. Like in real life, this is a whole different conversation. That being said, like this was to me his second red flag. I'm like, first of all, he's a distantly related relative, not into it. And second of all, he's rude, whatever, but he's also punching her in the face, gives like zero craps about where she's coming from, instigating, says like the most awful things to her. And meanwhile, at home, she has Dorian and Kale as options. Supposed to lock on to this man. I don't like him.
Because
No.
he's a tortured soul too.
Okay. That's no, I understand. You're right.
You're right too. It's okay.
Two things can be true. I will say on the reread, one part that I'm more emotional about and really enjoying from that context is her grief about Nehemia makes so much more sense to me this time because when I did the original read, in Crown of Midnight, when she's, dealing with the aftermath and she kills Graves and finds out more about Archer, I think of that as being through all the stages of grief, right? Is she hasn't gotten to acceptance. So she's just going into the straight anger, she's trying to solve problems, and she's just busying herself with so many things. And things are making her life busy, like cue a monster coming out of a portal. So she never really has time to chill out and actually process her feelings. So her grief in this book made more sense to me.
And to your point, Kale sends her away. Dorian doesn't necessarily fight for her to stay with the king. So she's also grieving like everyone in her life leaving her again.
Yeah. Ugh, do you feel the way that it's panned out and her being in Wendlyn and her going to Maeve is a storyline you're enjoying?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Less so about like her getting to like prove herself to Maeve, but to me, I'm viewing as like her healing journey. Like it's away from Rifthold, it's away from Arobin, away from all of the broken pieces that she was trying to put back together, and this chance to just let herself fall apart with no expectations.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I think that's where I got stuck in the original read. And like honestly, still on the reread, I get stuck because most of the rebuilding for her is so emotional and emotionally based. And we've already just come off of her retraining in the first book to be an assassin
Mm.
again. And I feel like the retraining part for me is I'm done with it. Like I want my assassin, I want her to be full force. And even though I understand the emotional plight to it now, and also the added, now she's training to be Fae, it's a whole different ball game. It's just still, can we get back to the castle? Can we go after the king? Let's start a fight.
Don't you want a magical assassin, though? You're going to miss out on that if you jump back in.
I mean, how long is it going to take her to become a magical assassin, though? She can do hard things. We're on chapter 22.
True.
Manon's or Manon's introduction?
Yeah, again, I think on the original read, I was totally in the camp of like, who is Manon? I don't care. Why are we having another plot line? We're still trying to keep up with the old one. And then you want to add someone new that I don't really care about. I also think on the original read, I didn't really connect Baba Yellowlegs to Manon. Like, that was too much for my brain at a time when I was still trying to figure out who is Helena? Like, who is her aunt, cousin? There's all these familial relations.
Had to pull up a
So,
family tree.
yeah,
Guilty.
I think in the first read, I was just over trying to figure stuff out and I just wanted to read for enjoyment, so did not like it. However, in this read, I gained so much respect for Manon, but also just like was trying to find those little breadcrumbs and understand her character so much. And I actually loved it. And now I'm in the camp of like, thank goodness Manon is here.
I first read it, I was, "Oh, I love witches. I'm so excited for this witch storyline because Baba Yellowlegs was just that dangling little carrot for me. And to get here was exciting. Also, I feel like there's almost a duality between Selena training with Rowan and also like her having this father figure or authoritarian figure with Arabin. And then also looking at Manon and her grandmother and training with the Wyverns. And it's like watching those two different paths and two completely different personalities. Manon is a hard exterior, hard interior. Meanwhile, we have Selena, who is broken at her core, used to have like a hard shell, and just watching that pan out is exciting.
Yes, I agree. That being said about Manon's hard shell, I cried when her and her 13 became airborne with the Wyverns. When she looks over at her second in command and they have this little moment, bawling, immediately crying.
Asterin, and Asterin is such a ride or die for Manon. And when you talk about Manon being like, oh, I have to punch her in the face, but it's fine. She understands. I really love that level of camaraderie. I love how they're so evil. Like they're clearly evil. And we're just like, but we love them.
The best was when they show up at the Northern Rift camp and all of these badass guards who are in charge of like keeping the Wyverns in check are like, I'm just gonna sidestep you over here to the witches. I'm
Yes.
like, this is great imagery. And as a strong female lead lover, I will say that was amazing.
Especially now having another female character that is so strong and clearly has her own hurdles to overcome. The little rivalry between her and the other covens. Also, just when they write in how they're all there to witness their failure, and it's like, just kidding, we're so much better than you, and they've already left by the time they've descended. Just love that, like, screw you mentality, you know?
Same. Which I gotta ask, what's your take on that rivalry?
I really enjoy the dynamics of it because it kind of reminds me of like Arabin's Guild, where we're all striving to be part of the same group, but we obviously don't understand what collaboration is. Because even as we're eating, we're going to be fighting with each other. Manon's grandmother says to her, good job today. Continue that because when we reclaim the waste, I want you on the throne. We're all witches. Can we all get along? Like, I don't understand. Weren't you all against the Crocans? The Crocans? Yeah, we'll go with Crocan witches. Yeah.
I say
What do you think it
Kraken,
is?
I think.
Okay, the Crocan or the Crocan witches. So we're all against them. And how is it now you're turning on each other? So it's an interesting dynamic that they can't get along.
Especially as they're dwindling. I love that analogy, though, of thinking of it in terms of Arobin's assassins and the structure there. I didn't think about that, but I like it.
I feel like no one in this kingdom has learned to live harmoniously.
Shocking under our king.
Right? Everyone's fighting for power, and it seems really ridiculous that no one realizes they can just work together. Even with Aedion seeing Kaol following him, And he's like, oh, we're going to have to kill you.
Yeah, immediately to violence.
Okay, so you said you liked Aedion. I was distrustful of him immediately. I thought it was going to be a family rivalry situation.
I think because he's trying to almost usurp the king from within, I liked it. Like any kind of sneaky plot that isn't so obvious, I liked. So I think I was just excited to see him enter into that. And I don't think the rebels that Archer was leading are all bad people. I think Archer just took it too far. So I also was very hopeful seeing him connect with those same rebels.
Okay, what did you think about his whole black ring fake?
So sneaky. I loved it. Yeah. Also love the rationale, right? Like he has some magic. He wasn't blessed with the same power as Selena, but his gifts are gifts nonetheless. And here he is like using them strategically and could smell that there was something off about this.
Yeah. So this was my bone to pick, but when I read that he has the ring on, but Kale is still clocking that he's still like towing the line with the king and being boisterous and saying maybe the wrong things or trying to cross a line here, wondering if, yes, the ring controls him, but because he enjoys it, he can play into it more and he's not fighting it. That's how I took it as. Like, he's obviously going to be a problem later, not, oh, he's an ally. So when Kale says Aelin is alive and he takes it in this positive way, I'm like, ooh, I was really off about that one.
We get proved wrong in books though, because like we said before, I think we're both like looking for the not obvious thing, and we're like, oh, you're not going to trick me. I got this.
So what do you think will happen with Aedion and Kale?
I don't know, because I think we still see that Kale is hung up on the magic and the relationship with Dorian and holding Selena's secrets. I still don't fully trust that Kale is going to act against the king. We see him starting to sort of make movements, but even in following Aedion, he's thinking of it as a way to get Aedion to leave and to like have another power move, not to overthrow the king. So I don't know.
I will say, poor Kale. Okay. He just fell in love with this girl. He's distraught because the person he's in love with is an assassin. Just kidding. She's a Fae queen and quite literally working against you for the throne that you serve. And now, as she leaves, she says, hey, your best friend has magic. Good luck with that. Also illegal. I'm a Fae queen. Now you have that knowledge. Again, sorry about that. And oh, the king you work for, so many issues. You should have that knowledge in case I don't come back to help you with it. And this poor guy literally got crucified the last time just because he didn't tell her that the king needed to have a conversation with Nehemia.
I didn't think about our man Kale like that. Poor guy.
Really, I feel his character growth here is so massive, but is just severely underplayed because he's not speaking to it in his head. It's not quite like, the forefront of your mind as he's just going through these things. But we have to give him so much credit. He's dealing with a lot.
It's true. He deals with it in subtle ways. And I think like you have to fill in the blanks and kind of figure that out.
Okay, but tell me why Sorsha is just kind of untrusted by you.
Okay, I literally wrote a note about this when she talks about writing letters to someone. So we get told that she's writing these letters about what's happening in the castle. And then we never hear anything about it again. This is like the death book all over again.
Yes.
And like letters aren't easy to send. Like it's not like she's walking outside to the Canada Post box and just slipping it in. Like, where's our carrier pigeons taking her letter?
Okay, but also, what a great person who could be a spy because she's so low level. The king is not going to be looking out for her mail. Also, the motive is all there. Her village was also destroyed by the king. So why not be a pawn from within? And now you have this great access to Dorian. I actually don't have any issues with her. It's not that I don't trust her. I think she's fine. I'm just waiting for my girl to come back and continue her little love triangle with Kaol and Dorian. So, Swisha, I'm sorry. You're just keeping the seat warm.
I thought
I
you were team
apologize.
friendship.
Yeah, they can be friends. That's
No,
fine.
you were team Selena and Dorian being friends.
No, I love everyone except Rowan. Not sorry. I'm so contradictory. I did really enjoy the moment where Dorian's power bursts, and it's about her asking these questions about Selena and Kaol and essentially verbalizing that his father is going to kill them if he found out all these things that she knew. And just the passage of time from it happening And then her saying to the person above her, yeah, I just dropped all my potions. Like, I'm such a klutz, whatever, whatever. I'm like, ooh, I like you. Good job.
Yeah, she took a stand there, right? And that's more action on Dorian's behalf than we've seen Kale take in the sense of his magic, right?
Right.
I kind of wondered too if a little bit of that was fueled by her not wanting to lose her job in a way because she's doesn't know what's Dorian going to do, how's he going to react. Also, her superior seems like kind of a hard ass. So,
I think that's a really good point. I think that she's so in love with him. She would do anything for him and is just so excited to be spending any time with him. Like when he says she's caught on to my training time. So now her doors just open whenever he completes training ready for him. I think she just wants to really help him out.
it's true.
Also, I do appreciate that she did keep all their secrets all this time with
Mhm.
no payout, with no guarantee that they were going to ever speak to her again. She just kept these secrets and they never thought about
I agree. Yeah, strong moral compass on her. It's also surprising in the context of, like you said, her village being destroyed, her parents being, I think they were murdered once they came to Rifthold. I think she could have had the opposite reaction of like, I'm working here just to make ends meet. This was my only option and hating every minute of it. So the first chance I get to screw you over, I'm going to take it.
Fair. Okay. Did you consider Selena's drinking grief or weakness?
Selena's drinking on the rooftop, grief or weakness. I think it's avoidance. I don't know that I would call it necessarily weakness. I think she's trying to avoid uncomfortable things and totally human response to avoid in that way. I have seen so many memes since reading this series of like anytime someone's hungover, like me picturing Selena baking on a terracotta roof, drinking disgusting wine, and it's like a picture of a boxed wine. So I just laugh.
Also, I think it's so funny that this girl is so rich at home, like so rich. She's like, I run out of money, so I have to drink this cheap wine. When she showers, she's like, it's cold water.
The best was the moment in the alleyway when she meets another unhoused person and that person mistakes her for being unhoused too. And she has this moment of like, well, looks like I've hit rock bottom. And then Rowan laughs at her.
Did appreciate that that's the way they met. That was like a funny little moment. What do you think of Maeve's whole policy of half breeds and people she doesn't deem acceptable living in the outskirts of her actual land?
I mean, it's protective at a time where magic is so limited elsewhere, right? I think it's
Mhm.
like no different than any other ruler saying, like, only the richest can live near me, or only it's just whatever you value, right? So here she is saying, I value powerful magic and powerful fae. And so if you don't meet those requirements, like, yeah, you can live in my kingdom, but you can't live near me.
Well, isn't she saying you can't live in my kingdom? Like, isn't their area like not really in her kingdom? Or is it like an in between?
Yeah, I guess technically, like I viewed it's still in between because magic is present, like it's past those like boulders or whatever, but it's like not in her actual
Yeah,
kingdom. I
got
don't
you.
know. Again, we make up maps in our head like we talked about before. So if someone has a different take, correct us.
Don't look at the front of the book. Don't ever look there. Just follow our guidance. I assure you it's correct, as are our pronunciations. I would say I really appreciated her just starting off the story strong with this very interesting villain take. And I am taking her as a villain just based on Aelin Selena's immediate reaction of her. But then her telling the story of Selena's mom or Aelin's mom and talking about how she kept promising to show me your power. And well, Ellen's mom seems like she was a good person and didn't want you ever to see her power. So there's clearly some reasoning there. And then when she talked about how you're not deemed worthy of coming there and you meet these lovely characters like Emrys and Luca and they're not allowed in. I'm like, screw you, man. Like, you suck. I'm hoping that the story does end with them allowing everyone else in.
Hmm.
I'm not hopeful, but I am hoping.
I agree. I do like that this outpost is almost like a merry band of misfits and they come together for story night and it's like become this wholesome place that they've turned feeling like an outcast into feeling like a place of belonging. I loved
Yeah.
that.
How did you feel about Emrys being this like storyteller and him asking Selena for a story?
So bold. Like this woman who barely talks to you, you're gonna be like, come here, share your deepest stories.
So fair.
Just ridiculous. I like that he's a storyteller. I think it fits with the times, so to speak. Like there have to be people who carry on these stories. I thought it would have been more heartbreaking if Selena wasn't already in that place of like grief numbness, because I think when she says like, oh, I don't know the stories anyways, I was just like, whatever. There's so much else that I was thinking about.
What were you hoping for to happen
I
next?
wanted Selena to be led into the kingdom. I wanted her to build relationships with that like band of misfits and let her walls down in a place where she could be vulnerable again. And then for her to advocate for them to be like brought back in.
So civil rights of you.
I think I also wanted Selena to convince Queen Maeve to fight the king, like to somehow lure the king into the magic wielding kingdom so that she could take him out or thwart his plans.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree. And I wanted Maeve to be part of the plot. I want her to join forces with Selena. Like, oh, now you have family on your side. And I was thinking that the fight was going to be Maeve versus whatever Aedion is doing and the rebels that Aedion's currently with. We're going to join forces with Aelin. So, yeah, I'm
Mhm.
excited to read the rest of this book because I'm not disliking it as much as I did originally. That being said, we still have like 44 more chapters to go. So who knows?
I will say one thing as we were mentioning, like Adian and Selena. I had this moment of how powerful they're both almost feeling the same thing. Selena is feeling like Kale is looking at her different because she's a killer, because she did all this, and kind of like, I can't let my magic out because I'm going to be even more of a killer. And then Aiden, when he finds out that Aelin is alive, goes, what's she gonna think of me? All the things I've done. Like, I love that we're almost seeing both of their consciences and worry and guilt about how the people close to them are gonna perceive them. I just had a little cry at that.
Okay, so I really like that you've brought that up. That's such a great way to look at it and see the duality of it. But I kind of wish we got that perspective of Aedion before he found out Aelin was alive, because that piece of information and revelation, I felt for Kale some emotion of him finally being able to release this to one person because he's been holding the secret all by himself. But I feel like the emotional impact of knowing Aedion now has this information would have been so much more impactful if we got some of his, I wish my cousin was here, I miss her, anything. But we don't because we really still don't know what his role in everything is.
Yeah, that's such a good point. If there was a moment of him seeing Dorian and remembering the last time he saw his cousin alive was with Dorian as a kid or whatever, if we had a moment of him reminiscing on the king being in his family home or something like that, and then feeling like how far I've come since then and how ashamed I am of my actions, I agree. It totally would have hit with way more impact.
I know, instead of kicking Dorian into rose bushes, he could have been telling Dorian about how he misses his cousin or something.
To be fair, that set off the plot line of Sorsha, so
So true. Also, it's funny that he finds out like Aelin is alive. Also, it's the assassin you've been trying to get under my skin about with Dorian and Kale. And he was like, maybe I would have had fun with this assassin. It's your cousin. Back off.
text that didn't age well.
Okay, how is it that Kale is staring at Aedion and is clearly drawing the parallels that he looks just like Selena, and the king isn't connecting the two? Dorian arguably may be connecting the two, but hasn't really put it together yet. But Kale is, it's the same eyes, it's the same look, it's the same everything. How is he not getting it?
Even the Ash River King,
The one close to Wendlyn.
yes, even him, Selena has the same remark, like it's the Ash River eyes. Like everyone's alluding to the Ash River eyes. And the king has been alive for way longer than all of these characters, and so would have seen the Ash River eyes come down in generation to generation.
Okay, but very clearly in the book, the Ash River eyes, Aelin Selena, no matter what form she's in, very clearly avoids eye contact with the king. She's only made eye contact with him once in the story, and that's when she threw Graves' head at him. And she's in this almost insane state. That's when she makes eye contact with him. But every other time, she always says she keeps her eyes low. And I think the second time is when she's on trial. She looks at the king because he forces her to look at her. So those are the only two real times he would have seen her eyes. But now mix it in with Adion's hair color. How can they be twins? And then Adion shows up and the king's like, we just had one of you in the castle. Could have been your twin. That's nothing.
Probably just drunk on the magic.
He's like, the ring's really strong for me.
I'm curious to know, because you did not like Rowan. What did you think about Rowan coming to save Selena and blaming it on his oath not to have her in harm based on Queen Maeve?
That's how I took it. I was, this guy goes, well, Maeve's obviously going to be pissed if I let her die. She needs her for something. I just assume that's why he did it. No part of me thinks he wants to save Selena. He hasn't been kind to her. He punched her in the face. I cannot get over the punch her in the face. Can I tell you, when I read the part where he punched her in the face, I had completely forgotten it from the original read. He's just not it for me. The only part of it that I thought was kind of sweet, actually, is when she's in the tree area with him and he's like speaking very softly and telling her what to do. She says she's breathing because that's his advice, try and change. And she's like, the air is cold. I was like, oh, that's nice, sweet. You're helping her with her senses. It's cool. But you probably just saved her because Maeve told you to, or wants her alive.
It's so funny to hear you say that, because I drew so many parallels between Kale and Rowan during this whole plot line.
How dare you?
I know. So as you're saying this, I'm like, tell me how Sin dislikes a character without telling me she dislikes a character.
Hold on, this knife is really lodged in there. Can't get it out. The whole time Kale and her are having their moment, I feel Kale was having internal battle. And maybe that's a credit to the fact that we have Kale's point of view and we don't have Rowan's. But even in the beginning, he was having these slight smiles. You know what? No, I'm not defending myself. I love Kale.
I love how you
stand Rowan.
You really gave it a college try. You tried to see Rowan's perspective and you're like, yep, no, can't do it.
Kale never punched her in the face. What do the kids do? Is this it? Tea?
It's like mini claps.
Okay, wait, you were saying?
I agree. Kale did not punch her in the face, but Kale also ran her into the ground, was purposely short with her when he didn't need to be. Like, I would argue he was equally as standoffish and annoyed at her. Yeah.
Equally?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to be making this a poll on our Instagram if we agree that Kale and Rowan were equally awful to Selena.
No, I said as standoffish to her.
Standoffish? I said awful because Rowan was awful. Yeah. All right, well, moving right along, we went from the forest, walking away from skinwalkers, into the city full of some wolves with some friendships. So we are now watching In the City. We have chosen this show mostly because we love Summer House, and obviously there's crossovers. How are you feeling about the show as a whole from where you're at?
It's kind of a letdown. I'm not as thrilled about it. I just finished the episode where Amanda has officially moved into her new apartment. Kyle comes over and they're trying to have a serious conversation and unpack. Not ironically saying that. Unpack what happened on Sunday when Amanda was left to pack on her own. So that's where I'm at. How are you feeling?
I feel that we both love Summer House because the formula of it is so fun. It is very organic in the sense that most of the people in the house are actual friends and other people get brought on, obviously, quite tangentially, but they're all partying in a house together. They're all young. They're all having a great time. And then drama unfolds. Like, I know that they're going to be scripted moments or moments that are kind of forced, but it is much more organic. And then they have the week away and they come back to it. It's so fun to watch. And it really feels so much more of a real situation versus when you're having them in the city and you're following them around. It just feels so set up. I don't like that format.
I agree. It's also not as relatable. I don't find myself relating to, on a random weekday, going to do your influencer things and your friends coming with you and there's a camera crew there. I couldn't put myself there. But the Summer House, I'm like, yeah, let's rent a weekend house and just hang out.
Yeah, and there's theme parties and whatnot to get you excited about things. So your buy-in is, what's Sierra going to wear? Because it's obviously going to be amazing. How is everyone going to compete for a better theme? What's everyone everyone's dinnerscape look like? And are we going to actually sit down and eat? Or are we going to throw food at each other? There's just so many more things versus
Yes.
in the city. But where you are, how did you feel about the dynamic of Amanda being home alone the night before she has to move out, and then her walking into Kyle being on a very important Zoom call to tell her she's leaving?
Yeah, there's so much about this that I would love to hit the pause button on and unpack. First of all, as someone who works from home virtually, and likewise for you, you have a partner who works from home virtually. If they're in a session or in the middle of a meeting, the door is closed, I would never just walk in and be like, whatever you're doing, stop because I'm leaving.
There would be an emergency going on, and he would hear like the ambulance pull out before I would run in and say, "Oh my gosh, I need help." So, kind of crazy for me that she's just saying bye. Also, are you on some kind of timeline? Why don't you pause?
Also, you're moving close by. Like, it's not like she's moving across the country.
Right? Also, did you guys not have a conversation that morning to say, "Here, this is the time. Oh, cool, I have this really important meeting. Can you wait?" Where's the conversations? Where are the communication skills?
Yeah, agreed. And you know what? That's a good point. Maybe all of my unpacking is under the umbrella of communication skills, and we shouldn't really be surprised. I think we saw in Summer House, like Kyle and Amanda do not communicate to each other. They're reactive, they're not proactive with their communication, and it obviously blows up. That was my thinking about her being left to pack alone on Sunday while he's out at this event. Again, it's a huge event that obviously means a lot to him. The packing she wanted help with or wanted to have a nice night with him. Did you both talk about this, that the dates are the same of two things that are very important to each of you, and we couldn't find a middle path there ahead of time? Like,
I know. And I also have to keep telling myself, look at it from both their perspectives and not just Kyle's perspective right now, because I'm so upset with Amanda for her choices. But it's comical, not really comical, but it is kind of interesting to see that realistically, had we been watching this show without the Summer House scandal, we would all be ripping into Kyle for all the things that are happening now on the city. How could you not reschedule so you were helping her pack? How could you not be there for her when she's leaving? How could you not be there with the movers or help her take stuff over or help to take the dog over? We would have reamed at him. But now he's getting a nice little pass, isn't he?
I don't know about a pass, but I would say definitely my view is much more balanced than agree if we never had the experience we had.
What did you think of Sierra and West being in the show and the little three-person meeting?
Oh my gosh, that was hard to watch. Ugh, I can only imagine putting myself in Sierra's shoes watching that back because, yeah, again, the timeline still confuses me, but you have Amanda there saying she's so excited to see them back together from a friendship place. She's so excited to be all hanging out again. I'm so team you guys. And the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not.
Okay, such a great point because at this point, it's unclear whether or not they've hooked up, whether or not discussed a potential relationship, been flirty, whatever. But regardless of what is happening in that moment, how, if other things are now unfolding between Amanda and West, is she not reflective of these moments that just happened? And how is he not reflective of that? How are you both sitting in this moment thinking, we're hee hee ha haing together? And we're going to blow this all up. We've not defined it. We're just going to blow up everything essentially. Because there's an argument to be made where we watch Summer House and maybe they're not actually all real friends in real life. But then when you see in the city that they are still seeing each other in the city during the timeline outside of Summer House, how could you do this to anyone?
It also just it makes my heart hurt. Like so many scenes in the city just have me questioning what adult friendships look like in reality TV because none of them look healthy. There's moments where they're supportive of each other, but then it's just like harmful outside of those moments or people flip-flop. Like it doesn't seem sustainable.
Right? In that same vein, how do you feel about Kenny, Gavin, and Whitney? So, Kenny and Whitney are the newly moved in and in a relationship. Gavin is Kenny's childhood friend, and there's all this dynamic about how he's feeling about their relationship, how Lindsay's feeling about their relationship, and this girl moving. Thoughts?
I just want to say, obviously, Gavin is butthurt that Kenny is moving on in his life and not a playboy anymore who can just show up at his bar and be a wingman. Like, it's so obvious that he feels replaced by Whitney and he's like
Mhm.
lashing out at his friend instead of being excited or supporting them. That it was almost comical to me that it went on for so many episodes without Kenny finally saying, like, why don't you have my back and just be happy for me?
Right? And what about Lindsay's take on Whitney?
I don't even remember her take on Whitney, to be honest. I know she kind of popped off at Kenny right at the beginning, right?
Yeah, she says, it's really a big deal that Whitney has moved across the country for you without a ring or without any kind of promise of marriage. So you should treat Whitney really well. And Gavin in this conversation had said, oh, well, Kenny and I were messing around. And Kenny like looks around to see where Whitney is in the conversation. So it's this weird moment because Lindsay picks up on him looking around and says, like, don't mess around on her. This girl just moved her entire life over to you. This is really big. She's made such a
Mhm.
big sacrifice. And then Kenny gets like really mad about it. I'm going to skip over to the reunion. Whitney gets to watch this scene back as well. Whitney and Kenny say that they did know about the fact that Kenny was having these like different times without her, but that they had discussed it. So that's between them. They don't need to discuss further. And Andy asks Whitney, hey, now that you've seen that, do you see what Lindsay was trying to do? And Whitney said, oh, it was hard to watch. Like she didn't feel like Lindsay was trying to protect her. And I feel that's an interesting take because the
Mm.
entire time I'm watching Lindsay's interaction with Kenny, it does seem like, hey, you should be really nice to this girl. She's made such a big sacrifice. And that's what I'm thinking about. So for Whitney to
Mhm.
not take that, I thought that was really interesting.
I agree. I feel like watching that and not having seen the reunion, my take on it was Lindsay was kind of being a hard ass on Kenny. And
Right.
even though Lindsay's not like best friends with Whitney, I took it as just like kind of girl code. Like I'm looking out for this woman who just uprooted her life. And I don't know you, Kenny, but I've heard enough stories. So I just want to make it clear. To me, that's how I took it. But I do wonder if Whitney feels quite protective of Kenny. And so I wonder if she viewed that interaction from the lens of like, she's being hard on my significant other and I got to protect him, as
Hmm.
opposed to putting herself first in that.
Which is funny because like drama drops immediately after where Kyle sends out this little messy rumor that says, oh, he doesn't feel like there's a spark. And then Whitney has to hear it from Andrea's wife, Lexi, that there's no spark. And it sets off this chain reaction of events.
Okay, this is messy. If one of your close friends is out for dinner with you and is like just getting things off their chest and is like, yeah, I haven't formulated these thoughts, but I'm going to word vomit how I'm feeling in my relationship right now. And then for you to pick and choose something out of that and then create this rumor mill around it just for the like, OMG, did you hear this or whatever?
Especially of all people, Kyle, you're on a reality show. Now knowing that this is Kenny's first time on a reality show, why would you do this to him? Also, just a PSA to everyone. If someone is your really good friend and someone is saying something negative about them, you have to, in your mind, ask yourself, why does this person feel comfortable saying something bad about someone I'm really close to and I really love? To me, I would have their back. And if they feel comfortable enough to talk shit to me, then are you really being a good friend? And that's what I felt in that entire moment where all the guys are hearing it from Kyle. We're going to talk to him. We don't need to have this conversation with you. But then for
Yeah.
Lexi to go and tell her, I would say Lexi should have gone to Kenny and
Yeah.
said, hey, this is what we've heard. I think you should clear this up before it gets back to Whitney.
Slash, not at all. Like, I get it. Everyone needs a vent. Like, you need to sometimes just like get stuff off your chest. And like you said, if you're in a committed relationship, you're with your person, or you have one best friend who isn't going to be influenced, like, their opinion of other people in the friend group are not going to be influenced by you just getting this off your chest. Sure,
Right.
have that person. I would say usually it's your romantic partner. Like you need that space, but then each person in that relationship knows like this isn't drama I'm starting. This is space for my partner I'm providing.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, that's missing the mark. Which, like, to be fair, they wouldn't have a show if they didn't respond in this way. But it's so unhealthy. And it's crazy that we're allowing this level of unhealthy interaction to entertain us in any way. Because there are other things happening on the show that we could watch that also unhealthy, but can be entertaining. For example, Lindsay versus Danielle.
was just about to say the trolley and then they are suddenly friends.
No, I don't know. Especially knowing how long-standing that relationship has been from Summer House and all the things they dealt with in Summer House. Diabolical.
Wild. Absolutely wild.
I have to say, I don't know how Lindsay ever forgave Danielle from the engagement to Carl and how Danielle went around to her whole slew of guests and was saying, like, when did you find out? Because I just found out right now. I can't believe I didn't know. That's like a huge ick for me. If you have a problem with me and you want to discuss your problem with me, with your friends, with your family, of course, you deserve a safe space. Don't come to my safe space and start
Mhm.
talking about me. That's wild. And that's what Danielle did all night. Lindsay forgave that?
Yeah. Do you think Lindsay actually forgave that, or she knows again? The Danielle bomb goes off once every 8 episodes. So she's a good person to have in your circle to keep drama around and be relevant on a show.
As a person currently living in Florida, if I see a Hurricane Danielle come up in my orbit, I'm leaving the state. Because that was such a great explanation.
Love
No,
it.
totally fair. Yeah, that could be it. It's just keep her calm so that she doesn't blow up and ruin my life. That's actually a great perspective to have. And I actually don't even know how Danielle got a slot on the show. I don't think the fan base likes her.
Again, I think it's the drama and even that like group chain, the drama between her and her partner not being divorced. I think there's just so much content surrounding it. Walking into the city, her and Lindsay were still not on good terms. Her and Amanda weren't really on good terms. I think it was like someone on the outskirts of Summer House that production knew if we include this person and she has to be at social events with all these people, something is gonna pop off.
Okay, great perspective. I just feel whenever I read about Danielle in the fandom, people don't even care that she's messy and brings drama. They're just so overhearing about her.
Mm.
There's more drama with Danielle and Lindsay. Danielle goes after Lindsay because Lindsay does like a quick Google search on her significant other. When Danielle finds out about this, she loses her mind. She said, "We're not talking about this. We can't talk about this, blah, blah, blah." And Lindsay says, "Well, why are you on the show then, Danielle?" I think Lindsay is such a great person for reality TV because she has quite literally shared her entire life on the show. The only time she hasn't been able to share something is when she was dating Gemma's dad.
Mhm.
And that's fair because that person didn't want to be on reality TV, but she still shared everything she could surrounding that.
Mhm.
So, why are you, Danielle, going to go on a reality show if there's something you can't talk about, but it's something as big as my man isn't divorced yet and we can't talk about it? Maybe come back when he is divorced.
Did you take that as she can't talk about it because it's been so contentious within the friend group? Everyone keeps bringing this up, everyone keeps making something of nothing, or how did you take that?
Took it as she makes reference to some kind of an email. So I took it as a legality, right? And I
Oh,
think
God.
he's Scottish, I want to say. Is that Irish? Scottish? I can't remember what accent that was.
He's always drinking Guinness, if that helps.
So he is from like the EU or the UK and the laws are different. So they were talking
Oh.
about maybe that being an issue, like if bringing it into the TV series and talking about it nationally could be an issue that they could use, which I get, but really I'm struggling to think about what his voice sounds like to place the accent. The rest of the voices in my head are so loud. Okay, well, I guess next week you will have caught up and it's a two-part reunion. I already watched part one and the second part comes out next week. So we will be able to touch base on that. Otherwise, we're going to need some help choosing another reality show to dive into because that's the end of In the City. Oh, do you have a suggestion?
Well, there's a new Below Deck Med.
You already know I'm caught up.
Same. And there's a Canadian on it.
Yeah, love that for us. Okay, so maybe we're going to get into Below Deck next week too. And also next week, we are doing the next 22 chapters of Heir of Fire, and we'll touch base on the second, third.
And just a reminder, if you are enjoying the show, please like, subscribe, follow, whatever platform you're on. Also, if you have feedback, we'd love to hear it. We're still kind of making changes as we go. So if there's anything you guys want us to talk more or less about, let us know.
Work on.
It's a work in progress.
We're doing our best. We're just two girls doing our best.
Two overbooked girls doing our best.
Thank you for watching. See you guys next week.
Bye.